Hey dolls! With so many beautiful dolls on the market, both new and secondhand, how do you know which ones to buy and which ones to pass on? In today's video, I want to explain my personal decision-making process and which factors influence me to buy a doll or not. Please keep in mind that this is just what works for me and this isn't any sort of definitive guide or anything like that. It's more like an open discussion, so take whatever tips work for you. So with all that out of the way, here is how I decide which dolls to add to my collection. First off, something huge that helps me decide whether or not I want a doll is understanding my collection and my intentions when collecting. I know my likes and dislikes, and I have established my personal red and green flags in dolls. Automatically, a lot of dolls are off the table for me simply because they don't match my personal standards and preferences. For example, a few key requirements in pretty much any doll that I buy are articulation, uniqueness within my collection, and customization. Posability is very important to me. I prefer as much movement as possible, so made to move bodies or articulated bodies in general are green flags, whereas less articulated bodies like modern fashionista bodies, even model muse honestly, those are red flags. Besides articulation, like I said, I also value uniqueness within my collection and customization. What I mean by uniqueness in my collection is that none of my Barbies or Kens look too similar to one another. With that said, most of my collection consists of customized dolls because obviously they're going to be unique. This is just one of many reasons why my Barbie collection mostly is made up of one-of-a-kind dolls. Custom or not, it's easier for me to pass up the doll if I have another one that looks similar to it in my collection already. In addition to knowing what kinds of dolls I like, I also know what I have a lot of and what I want to add to my collection. For instance, I know that I have a lot more Barbies than Kens, and I know this is very common with most collectors, but I've been wanting to even out the ratio at least a little bit, so this year I set my intention to collect more Kens. Something else that helps me to decide whether or not to buy a doll is how long I've wanted it. Personally, I am definitely one to wait and think before I buy most dolls. I know how easy it can be to get wrapped up in the excitement of seeing a new doll and purchasing it right away. I think most of us fall victim to that every once in a while. There is a big difference between liking a doll, thinking that it's pretty, and liking a doll enough to want to buy it. Now, with that said, I know that there are definitely cons to waiting on buying a doll, especially when it comes to high demand dolls being sold out, or rare dolls, or seeing a good deal on a doll, or of course, when it comes to one-of-a-kind dolls, it can kind of be a bit harder to wait in those instances. At the same time though, if you're only buying the doll because of this pressure that this opportunity is going to go away, or like maybe pressure because everyone else is getting the doll right now, I don't know, any kind of pressure in general, maybe take a step back and think about how much you actually like this doll and how much you actually want the doll. You might want to ask yourself why else you want this doll other than what's pressuring you to buy it. You know what I mean? What else do you like about it? Is there anything that you don't like about the doll? Does it meet your collection standards and preferences? But in the case of dolls selling out, even if this does happen, don't lose hope. In most cases, there's a pretty good chance that you will see this doll again. Now just might not be your time to get it yet, and that's okay. I have a personal example with this. One of my ultimate holy grail dolls of all time is this Fashion Fever doll. You might recognize her if you've seen my Mind Game series. If you haven't, you should definitely check it out. She's one of the more significant characters. I wanted this doll basically since she came out in 2006. Specifically, I really wanted to have her rebodied because the original doll only has the basic 5 points of articulation, and one day I found one. I think this was in 2018, maybe 2017. Regardless, she had one straight arm, one arm that was permanently bent 90 degrees, and then she had articulated knees. Not the most articulation, but it was significantly better than what the original doll had. But someone else bought her before I got the chance. I don't know why I didn't buy her right then and there, I don't remember, but I was absolutely devastated. Fast forward maybe 6 months, I I happened to find another rebodied version. This one that I have, and as you can see, she has a lot of articulation, way more than that first doll had. So in the end, it was a good thing that I waited until the time was right for me. This is only one example. There are other dolls that I've waited on and then I was glad I did because I found a better one, but I realized that this won't always be the case. Sometimes maybe you won't see the doll again. You know, there are lots of other beautiful dolls out there, and I know, they're not that doll that you were looking at, and that's sad, and it's okay to recognize that. When I've been heartbroken by a doll that I missed out on, something that helps me is to turn my attention toward all the amazing dolls that I already have. I try to refocus my energy on my current collection and use this as an opportunity to enjoy what I have and practice gratitude. One more prominent factor that really helps me decide which dolls to purchase is asking myself this one question. Is the cost worth everything I'm getting with this purchase? Is the cost worth it for the doll itself, for the clothes that it comes with, the accessories, and even the extras? And does the quality match the price? I always ask myself this with every potential doll, and this alone helps me so much. It saved me a lot of money and unwanted dolls. In general, before buying a Barbie, I examine every single piece that the doll is wearing, including the accessories, and I think about how much I will use them. I know I've passed up a lot of dolls simply because I don't like what they're wearing. I also want to touch on secondhand dolls a little bit here, since I buy most of my dolls secondhand. A lot of secondhand dolls don't come with any clothes at all. When I'm buying used dolls, I heavily gravitate toward dolls that are dressed, but I will occasionally buy an undressed doll if I like it enough and I think it's worth the price. These factors work very well, hand in hand, all together in my experience. This is all pretty much what goes through my head when I decide whether or not to buy a doll, but I've done enough yapping. Now it's your turn. How do you decide which dolls to add to your collection? What are your personal red flags and green flags when it comes to Barbies? And what was your latest exciting doll purchase? Thank you so much for tuning in to this discussion. If you like it, please subscribe if you want and watch my YouTube original series Drama Mind Games. Also follow me on Instagram for Barbie music covers, behind the scenes, and photography, and I will see you in these videos right here. Bye!